Hello, I hope you all are doing so well. I wanted to talk about this uncomfortable energy that many of us are finding ourselves in. And what I want to point out is that it has nothing to do with what's going on in this physical reality right now. There is a much more potent process that's happening underneath the surface, and this is specifically designed for you to move yourself out of these trauma fields, out of the trauma experiences. This is a hard lesson for us as light beings in bodies who have been conditioned, who have been taught, who have picked up these stories and these narratives to try and explain away our suffering and to try and make sense of our suffering in this realm. And now we're being asked to drop all of that. So in many ways, these identities that we have created as light beings here on this planet have got to go, because we have created them in relation to trauma. So this is a massive shedding of your human experience, your human ego, your human shell, however you want to describe it, that needs to go. And this pain and suffering that we continually feel rising up through the surface has nothing to do with who we are and where we're going. It's where we are still tied in to these energies. And so many people will say, okay, the collective energies. And what is that? That is not who we are. So if we're referencing collective, it means we are still stuck in this soup that we've got to get our feet out of. Because we are here to be a different way. And this isn't about false positivity and trying to continually ignore the darkness that we're feeling. This is alchemization. This is the true Christ consciousness, if you will, which is that you know yourself as the light, you feel that truth. When the negative emotions and the dark energy comes in, you hold into the truth as the truth of who you are and what you're here to bring in, and you don't allow that darkness to become the dominant narrative within you. It's to recognize that you're feeling the darkness and point your light there to maintain that inner sanctity and divinity of your light. So what's happening now is that people are feeling the darkness. They're seeing the darkness perhaps in the physical and saying, oh my God, this is awful. But that's the trauma field. So what's happening is we find that inner light, that inner peace, whatever it may be, and then we're allowing this external reality and darkness to dictate how we feel. And it's supposed to be the exact opposite. The work is the exact opposite. It's to say, I know my light, I feel my light. Oh, this fucking darkness is not the truth of who I am. Okay, this is the truth. This is the hard work right now, because what comes along with a lot of this is this feeling that we don't deserve to feel good and to feel our joy and to feel positive and happy. And that is the biggest challenge right now. The biggest challenge is not the fact that there's so much darkness going on in the world. The biggest challenge is that in spite of that darkness and in spite of what we're seeing in the physical play out, can we hold into the truth of the light of who we are? This is the work. Are you the light? Are you recognizing yourself as the light and accepting yourself as the light? Or do you continually tune now to the darkness and allow that to dictate who you are and what your experience is supposed to be? What's going on now, you're not going to find people in your reality who are doing what you're doing. And so are you going to be the way shower? Are you going to be the light bringer? Are you going to be the path maker? And you have to be a completely different way than what you are seeing around you. And it's not easy, and it's uncomfortable, and it feels awkward, and it feels unfamiliar. And it feels a bit sickening at times, or maybe all of the time. But this is the truth of who we are. And it's time for us to step up to the plate, to claim what we know to be true about ourselves, and to move beyond this trap. The trap will always be there. It is so easy to stay there. And not only that, we have hooked into it. We've created these stories about being an empath and how targeted we feel and how challenging it is and how much we have all these narcissists around us that keep pulling us back into this, and we get caught in these dynamics. And that's not to say those things aren't true. They are very true. And we don't have to feel tied to it. That feeling of feeling tied to it is not true. We are the truth. We have every right to be beyond that. And I think this is what most of us are struggling with right now, is what do we really deserve? We are so familiar with the darkness. It's who we have become in many ways, because we feel guilty for the level of light that we carry. And because we feel guilty about our capacity, we have essentially allowed ourselves to become that darkness and that distortion in order that others around us will not feel bad. This is what we do. We don't want others to suffer. And so we will allow ourselves to become whatever it is to ease the suffering of others. And yet, that is over. That is not where we're supposed to be. That's not ever where we were supposed to be. But because of the system and the games that are going on here, that's where we had to come into. That's the role we had to play. And that was the game we had to get involved in order to understand the truth of how energy really works on this planet. In order to understand the power of our alchemy and our ability to transmute, these energies. The hardest challenge right now is to know that we deserve to feel differently. And it's not that our physical experience and our physical existence has to accurately reflect, like on a 1-to-1 ratio, what we feel internally. In many ways, it won't. You know, our lives may be a mess. We may not have a job. We may have lost our home, whatever it is. Doesn't mean you're not aligned to your light. And so oftentimes we think, well, I know I've had this experience quite frequently. It's one of the things that has held me back, is that, well, how can I step forward in my light when my physical reality is a mess? Understanding that there's different layers to it, right? We don't want to be bypassing and just being in the ethers and just ignoring our physical reality. But at the same time, we cannot wait and say, well, because it's not showing up in my physical, that must mean it's not true, because that's also not how energy works, right? So we have to be cautious that we're not getting cornered in all of these different positions here. And most importantly, to remember joy, happiness, lightheartedness. That's who we are. It's always who we've been. And where do we continually place this darkness on ourselves? I have to be here because everyone else is here. Who am I to not be in that mess? Who are you not to be? Who is anyone not to be? And yet somebody has to go first. Somebody has to take that step and cast it off. And take your light and cast a net of light around the darkness and move on. You don't have to stay there with it, right? Much of our work is about pointing this out. It's not just us that are here, right? We come with millions and millions of energies that we are connected to. Our work through the human body is to walk on this planet and to pinpoint where the darkness is in our reality, to call the attention of the light there. It doesn't mean we get stuck in it. It doesn't mean we stay there. It doesn't mean we have to stay and fix it. We call our consciousness there and we continue to move on. It may not fully resolve anytime soon in the physical. And yet we call our consciousness in there, right? And at some point we may have to circle around and take care of it in the physical when the energies are there to support that, right? But when we get stuck in these little corners and quadrants of darkness thinking, okay, well, until this physically resolves, it means I'm not where I'm supposed to be, or it means I'm doing something wrong, or it means I'm not the light, or like there's something attacking me. And that's not the case. You have the ability to move in and out of all of these interconnected webs of energies. Do it. Tap into the truth of who you are. And this oftentimes means going back to how we were in childhood. The dreams that we had, the feelings that we had, the emotions that we had, the possibilities that we were able to dream at that time. Those are the clues to how you actually work in the physical through the energy realm. And if you are in dismay about what's going on in the world right now, understand there is something far, far greater going on right now than anyone can possibly imagine. And it's incredibly brilliant. And yet if you're waiting to see how this is going to play out, you're missing this opportunity, this potency of light that is in here right now. You are missing this opportunity to dive deep within yourself, to root out these places of darkness, and to replant the seed of light there. So where you are feeling traumatized, where are you feeling utterly anchored down in darkness, put your light there. Just breathe into it for a moment. Into your heart. You know you are the light. You've had these experiences before. Even if you can't recall it now, you know you have in the past. So it's in your reality, in your physical memory. It's in your physical consciousness of yourselves. So even if you're not feeling it, you know it somewhere inside of you. And you can come back to that place. And this is the work, to force yourself into the light. We have spent lifetimes forcing ourselves into the darkness to get to this point where we can fully utilize our light consciousness. Do it now. Do it now. This is the time to do it. When I was in, I don't know why this is coming up, but I guess that's a good analogy. When I was in ballet, my teacher used to say, the summer is the best time to really work on your stretching, right? It's hot, it's humid, it helps the muscles. It also feels the worst, it's disgusting, you sweat the most, right? But it's like, you can really stretch yourself. So use it to your advantage. That's what this time is. It feels the worst, it feels the most disgusting. But guess what? That means all this darkness is opening up and we can get in there and get into these entanglements and really put our light there and move on. And again, it's not about fully resolving something like incrementally in this linear way. Recognize what's going on for you, where you're getting triggered, where the distortion is. Put your light seed there. You know, your energy field is not going to forget it. You'll be brought back to it when the time is right. But move on and keep moving forward. Stepping out of these trauma fields. This is what the darkness wants right now. It wants you to get your feet stuck in this muck, in this quicksand. And yet we don't have to. We're not supposed to. And we're supposed to be using this time to our advantage. Which is that, yeah, it's ooey gooey messy. Get your hands in there. And get to the bottom of it. And get out. So, again, wherever we're saying, oh, this collective muck, it's like you're not supposed to be wallowing in that. Yeah, it is so easy to forget and to get stuck in it. But are you the light or are you not the light? Because if you are the light, you need to take control of that. And you need to use your light. And again, who's going to do it? Who is going to show people that this is how it's done? It has to be you. It's you, and you're being called. We all, in the beginning of this journey, I think we're all looking for like, well, how am I different than others? And where are my skills and abilities? And how am I special and different than the average human sitting next to me? Why are you sitting next to the average human and experiencing what they're experiencing right now? Why are you not rising above it and pulling the light into your experience? This is your job. This is what you're designed to do. It's who you're supposed to be. Stop feeling guilty that the person next to you is suffering. It's not your job. It's not your fault. You were given this role. You were given this task. You chose it. Other energies know that you chose it too. They came here with you. They are supporting this. Take on your role. Do what you were designed to do here. Do what you came here to do. And be that. In this world that needs to be shown a different way. Everyone's been waiting for this opportunity for the light to come in and change something. You are the light. We're in the body for a reason. This is the whole purpose of being here. You are the light. You are the light. You show the way. You go. And they will follow. There's no other way. There is no other way. I promise you there is no other way except for you to do this in your body. You've mastered it energetically before. Yes, we're trying to figure out how all these levers and mechanisms work in the human body, but you know internally, and you tell the body how this works. That's how this works. Your cells have a consciousness. You can speak to your cells. You can speak to your body. You control your body. You control your experience. Everything in this realm wants you to believe it's differently. Everything in this realm wants you to believe you have to wait for permission to move forward to do this. You do not. It's already in you. So if you need to take time out from your connections, your physical, whatever, go into nature, whatever it is you do, however we flow our energy, whether it's artwork, whether it's spending time with our kids, working on a project, go there now and remember the light of your seed that you are planting here over and over and over again. This is the work. This is what you were designed to do. You designed this for yourself, to master this. And in many ways, you've already mastered it. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Take good care.